All right. Hey, hello and welcome. My name is David Baker, and I am running for county mayor. And thank you for taking the time to show up for this live online town hall. And so, in this town hall, we would like to hear from you questions, problems, good, bad, ugly of school education. And we're going to talk about those things so we can help Murray County to be the best place to raise a family. And that's what we would like to do. So, while you're on here on the bottom right, click chat on the bottom. And then on the bottom right, just a technical thing. If you want to send something just to me, then the blue toggle at the bottom where it says hosts and panelists, then you can set it to that. If you want to put something out where everyone can see it, which would be great, then you can put it to everyone. Okay. So that's how you can do that. Change that on the bottom to everyone. Also, we are streaming live on Facebook, but I won't be able to switch back over there and get questions. So we're glad that you're here, and we'll take most of the questions from here. So glad that you were able to come and to sign up. We're going to be doing more of these. I've talked to some other teachers and even school board members, future school board members, and inviting them to be able to come on. And so to do more, I want to be able to do everything we can to be able to help our schools to be better, which is going to be a better help for our county. Now, most of you know the county mayor is not over the schools. That is not something that is in his purview. There are 15 different department heads that he runs, and school is not one, but there is influence that we have. And what I want to do is to try to help make Murray County the best place to live. And one of the important things is education. If the education is not good, people don't want to live here. They will move away, or other people won't move here. And so we want to make sure that the schools are good for that reason, but most of all for our children. They are the future. They are important. They are children. We want to make sure that they have that. And so we're going to talk about those things. So I want to know from you what you see things that are good, what you see things are rough, and what you see things need to be made better. So if you want to, you don't have to, you can participate totally anonymous, but if you want to, what schools are represented? Okay. What schools have you gone to, your children gone to, or if you've taught in any of them? I believe that there are, when I look, 23 different schools in the county. So that's a lot. What schools have you been a part of? Do you represent? Santa Fe Unit School is where I went to school from first grade. They didn't have kindergarten back in the olden days. So it was first grade through sixth grade. In the middle of sixth grade year, we moved. I don't remember my first grade teacher. My second grade teacher, I believe, is Mrs. Atkinson, and then Mrs. Owens. Fourth grade, Mrs. Chun. Fifth grade, Mr. Cannon, and sixth grade was Mrs. Riggins. Those were my teachers, and good teachers, and had a good foundation to get started. Then we moved to Iowa, and they were real big on education. Iowa tested basic skills. They prided themselves in that, if you ever had to take those. And so that's been my background in that. Then in Bible college, after a bachelor's degree, I got a master's degree in education. And then we started a Christian school. And then also we have homeschooled. We have 11 children. And my master's degree is in education and school administration. And then my wife's master's degree in education is in secondary education with teaching fields in English and music. And so we were able to homeschool our children and loved it, loved the time, loved the investment. I know not everyone can do that. And so what can we do to help the schools to be the best? Those are things that we would like to do. So on that note, we want to go ahead and to ask some questions and things that you have. So if you would, what are the things that are good? Okay. A lot of times we focus on things that are bad. This town hall is me hearing from you. I've got things of which I can speak, but I would love to hear from you. What are the good things that we have in the school? Sometimes we only just bring up the negatives and the bad things, but that old phrase, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And so what are the good things that you have and seen in the schools that you know and be a part of? The teachers, you got a great teacher. What an awesome thing to be able to mention them. Teachers get a lot of flack. So if you got a great teacher, you want to mention them, that would be great. What are the good things that you have and see in our schools that you could be able to talk about? Those things are good. We'd love to hear about those. Okay. If you have a school that you're a part of and you want to rate them, okay, 1 to 10, 10. Wow, this school is amazing. Our kids have enjoyed it. They've learned, they've grown. That's been super. Or one, boy, we had a really bad experience in that school because there are differences. There's the Maury County Department of Education, but there are different schools, different principals, different leadership, different teachers. And so they're not all going to be the same. Okay. So anything good that you have, we'd love to know that. And then also, what are the needs? What are the problems? What are the things that you've seen in schools that need help? That's always what you want to focus on. The good things, let's take those good things and do more of them. And the things that aren't good, then we need to take those and then see how we can make those better. Looking at the statistics, so went on the Maury County schools and the statistics there, they said that the Maury County schools reading was 25% were reading on grade level. According to math, 24% were proficient in math. Looking up the averages of those, average 35% of fourth graders are reading at or above their grade level. And so it seems like on that issue, the county is lower. And so those are the kind of things that we want to work on. If reading is 25% and math is 24%, we wonder what kind of problems we're going to have. On graduation, the stats were 88%. That is about average. 88% of the students graduate high school. And so that is about average. A good comment in, there are many teachers that truly love their students, and that is a big deal. And that's important. I felt like that. The teachers cared about us. And when they believe that you care about them, that you will help them a lot more to grow. So that's a great comment there. SAT scores for our county schools, 1090. The average is 1051. So that is above average. So that's a good thing. ACT scores our average is 25. The average in the country is 20.8. And so that is above average. So there's some good things. Again, I think sometimes education gets down and slammed as just bad, but without really looking at the numbers and comparing things. Those are good, decent SAT and ACT scores. So the people that are graduating and going on to college are actually scoring higher than the national averages. Now, 88% graduation, that is about average. Of course, you'd like to see those up. But the reading and math proficiency scores, I think those are the issues that are the problem. So what are the answers? Okay, what are the problems? So many times with politicians, what you hear is people just say, "Oh, we need to focus on education." So that means what? Spend more money. Spend more money. So many times that is what people say. Is just money the thing that's going to fix it? Is it? So I did some stats and looked up different countries there. I won't go through all of them, but one of the best countries for education is Japan. And it's not just money. They only spend about $10,000 per student only. That's a lot of money. But they are fifth in math, fifth in reading, and second in science in Japan. South Korea spends $12,000 per student, and they're eighth in math, ninth in reading, and 12th in science. The United States, they spend $12,800 per student. That's average. Of course, some are more, some are less. But the average in the United States, $12,800 per student, $700 billion on education. The United States spends more money on education than any other country, and their numbers are 36% in math, 18% in reading, and 23, I'm not percent, I'm sorry, in the countries, 36 in math, 18th in reading, and 23rd in science. Those are not good numbers. But again, it's not just money. The country that spends the most per student is Norway, $15,000 per student. And their numbers are 19. They're number 19 in math, 10 in reading, and 24 in science. And so it's not just throwing more money at it. I think that is the simple politic answer. We need to focus on education. So just send more money so we can feel like we did something good, but are we really changing something? So I think that needs to be thought through. And I know there's people that are running for the school board that want to be able to, what can we do to help the grades, the test scores, the education level, but to still be a good steward of the county's money. a lot of money that goes into education in our county. That's property taxes for people. And so we want to make sure that we're doing the most. Thought it was interesting, and you guys can comment what you think about this or any problems with this. But um, the statistics I found was that more money is spent on athletics than education. In fact, and this is a stat, and it may be different ones, different places, but typically 3 times more money is spent on sports, athletics, than on education. Again, I don't know what our county is. Don't have access to all of those numbers, but boy, I wonder if we need to rethink that. Are sports important? Absolutely. Are there a lot of things you can learn from sports? Absolutely. But boy, is that the best use of that? Also, when you look at how many people participate, it's only about 50% of the people, the students that actually participate in the sport. And in the sport, so 3 times more is spent on sports and education, and that's only going to reach about 50% of the students. So I wonder if that's something that should be thought through. Now, in America, sports is a god, so I know that I could get in trouble by saying that. But what are the important things? And that education, being able to make sure that they're going to have that basic education skill when they lead, it's gigantic. I can tell you this, as I've been a pastor, preacher for over 30 years, and also worked at the jail and helped some of the guys there. And we're not over the GED, but the sheriff, Enoch George and Susie Pruitt, have been able to bring in GED there. And we've had over 100 inmates get their GED. And it's gigantic because here's the level. It is easier to get a job if you have a felony on your record than if you don't have a high school equivalency or GED. That's big. You think about most applications you fill out, the first thing it says is education level. And high school is the minimum for most jobs. So if you don't have a high school education, I'm sorry, Sheriff, did I say Enoch George? I've worked under three different sheriffs, Matheny, George, and sorry, Sheriff Bucky Rowland. Sorry, Sheriff Bucky Rowland has, and Susie Pruitt have brought in the education, the GED part, and it's really been a big deal and helpful to people. So, so education is important. That's what we need to focus on. So, also would love to have, and this is going live, and also many people were able to sign up for it but couldn't be here live, and so we'll send them out the replay. So, if you're watching on replay, I would love to have any of your suggestions or any of the participation, what you think about these. What are the problems? What are the big deal? What are the problems and issues here? And so bullying, okay, how big of a problem is that? When I was talking to our current mayor and brought up something about bullying, he pulled up on his phone and said, just got an email, bullying, how big that is in the schools and the problem that causes. The next day, I got a message from a lady that was asking if my wife could homeschool their daughter because she is so bullied at school, she doesn't even want to eat lunch. And that's not legal. We're not able to do that, but that's a big problem, bullying. So how many people have faced that and seen that? I know someone, they have pulled their children out of the public schools because of bullying. And so it would be pretty hard to focus on that test you're taking if you knew at recess someone's going to thump your head. And so how big of a problem is that? And so in the email I send out, I'll send you an idea and a thought for that. It's called the Protectors Club. And so I would encourage you to look at that. You can go to theprotectorsclub.com. And it's a program that we want to put together to help bullying, to help school bullying put together. It's an interesting idea. I've met with one of the coaches in the school, and they say bullying programs don't work. Done a lot of research on that. All bullying programs don't work because they all include tell an authority. If you're being bullied, tell your parents. Okay. If they're being bullied, tell a teacher, tell the principal. The problem is when you're bullied and now you tell, now you're dead meat. You're in trouble. You're a snitch. You're a rat. You're a narc, whatever they call it these days. You're in trouble. And so the program doesn't have that as a part of it. It uses something else. If you want to look that up, there's a thought on that. So bullied. Yeah, we have comments of people saying, yes, I was bullied as a kid. My son was bullied. My wife was bullied. It's a big deal. According to the National Center of Education Statistics, right now, 20% of students grades 6 through 12 have been bullied. And I know it starts earlier than that. And so 20%, they said it was down from 32%, but they said most of the bullying goes unreported. most of the bullying goes unreported. And so how big are those statistics really for bullying? So problems, okay? So question problems. This is from teachers. Would love to know your thought. Parental support and involvement. How big of a problem is that? You wonder how much of the education issues, I believe it starts at home. I believe that as a parent that I am responsible for my children's education, not the government, not the school, not the teacher. It's my job to make sure that my children get a good education, whatever I have to do that. And so I wonder how many parents see it that way, or if parents are more just leave it up to the schools. I send them to school, I do that, I'm done, that's my job. And so I wonder what else could be done with that to be able to help. So parental involvement. I wonder from teachers, and I know teachers are probably not going to be on here in person and say that, but please feel free to email me after you get this. You'll have my email address. Email me your thoughts on that, the parental support and involvement. If you sent homework home, or if they're not doing their work and they're not motivated, if you told the parent, will the parent even care or do anything? I know the way it was with me, and I think many people. Well, if you got in trouble at school, guess what? You're going to get in more trouble at home. And do you have that support from the parental system back at home? What other problems? Discipline. How big is the discipline problem in the school? They always say no discipline, no education. If you don't have control of the classroom, are the children able to do what they want and disrupt without the ability to control that? That's a big deal. So in the schools, is that a problem, or is that something that's taken care of? I know there's different things that they can do to have alternative school or virtual school, and they will put them in to be able to get kicked out if they're not behaving. And so you have to be able to take that out, or you're not going to have education for anyone. Question that I have: what about drugs? How bad is that inside the schools? How bad is a drug problem? Sometimes parents don't even know; they don't have a clue. But from students, wonder what percentage of the students in school are actually using drugs. Very hard to get a good education if your brain is on drugs. I wonder that at the jail when I've talked to people about the guys that I work with about drugs, and asked them, how old were you when you started? The last class I just asked, the youngest was 8. The average was 12 to 13. The average was 12 to 13. Class of 20 guys. The average was 12 to 13. So, boy, if that's a problem in our schools, that kids are using drugs at that early of an age, what do you think their education is going to be like? And what's the answer to that? Another message came in: bullying is a huge problem. Students and staff get bullied. Too often, the bully gets away with it. Kids that do something foolish in school usually end up in more trouble than the bad bullies. So that's a big deal on that. Definitely something that we would love to be able to help. What other problems? So feel free. I'm throwing ideas out. I want to know what you think, if these things are a big deal or not. So what about this? Indoctrination in things that don't help read and don't help them to read, to learn to write, math, and science. What kind of things have to be taught that don't have anything to do with reading or writing or math or science? How much of the day is spent like that? Again, I'm not in the classroom, so I don't know. But what other kinds of things are being taught? The Common Core education. Well, I've seen some of the math of Common Core. Boy, that's not the simple way to learn. The critical race theory, that's talked about a bunch. Is that something that people are seeing in school? The gender confusion, pushing of sexual themes. We've seen that a lot out there. In our Murray County schools, what's there? I've asked 3 or 4 people that are running for school board about that, and they said, we don't know. We don't know. Well, someone knows. Is that an issue or not? Is that something that's being taught that people are having to deal with? What about social and emotional learning? We'll talk more about this in our next one, but SEL, it's a big deal and it sounds really good. Here's what they say. Instead of traditional education focusing on academics, there's a movement toward nurturing the whole study called social and emotional learning. Oh, that sounds good. The problems and what they bring in with social and emotional learning is not something that most parents want taught to their children, especially in school by a teacher. And so how much of that is a problem in our schools where they should be teaching them to read and to write and to do math and science, to focus on those things? And how do you get out of that? So someone put in here about drugs. My friends and I would smoke marijuana and of course cigarettes almost daily, marijuana and daily and all day cigarettes. Boy, those things are definitely not going to be able to help someone with their education. So, this question came up. What about the increase with test scores? Focusing on test scores. Sometimes people have talked about that as it being a problem, that there's so much of an emphasis on getting a good test score that they're teaching to get a good test score instead of teaching to help them to learn, or focusing on the subjects that will be tested and not on subjects that are not tested. And so I wonder if there's any problems and questions with that. And so those were the things that I had that I've seen and looked at. Of course, there's a lot more problems than that, but that's what I wanted to bring and to talk about. And so here's what I would like to be able to do. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you have any ideas, fixes, helps, problems, things like that, I would love to know and open that up for any of those things right now. Feel free to put it in the chat. I'm going to check and see the Q&A. If there's any questions, if you want something to be totally private, you can click the Q&A and put the question in there. So any suggestions that you have, any other problems that you see or know of in the schools that we haven't talked about. And like I said, I know there are more. And then also, if you would, with people that you know, talk about these things. It's amazing the communication, what it can do. If we don't know the problems, then we don't know what they are. Talk to your children, talk to your grandchildren, ask them about these things in the school. What's it like? How many hours a day are spent teaching on these? It's amazing. And I don't know if it's our schools or not, but so many schools are not even teaching cursive writing anymore. And boy, that seems like such a big deal to be able to learn something as a kid that you had to practice and learn. And many schools have just thrown that away. Is that an issue? And so talk to students, talk to parents, talk to other people, and feel free. The email address is David Baker for Mayor, the word written out, for mayor@gmail.com. It'll be in the email that you'll get with this replay. But any question that you have for me, or any idea or any solution or any problems, I'm open ears. I wanted to make this town hall getting started as a fact finding thing. So feel free to send me any questions, any problems that you have, and we will have more of these. And we'll look having other people on to be able to talk about these issues. I truly believe that the people in this county, if we were able to get together with the superintendents, with the teachers, with the principals, with the parents, with the students, that we could be able to see what the problems are and to have common sense solutions to make our schools better, to make our education better, which is going to make our county better, our families better, and the whole future lives better. When someone does not have an adequate education, it will affect them the rest of their life. And so we need to do all we can to make sure that they have that. And the kids that struggle, the underprivileged, the ones who have parents who are struggling, what can we do to be able to help them? And so we have some ideas that we want to do later on. We'll talk about to help parents with their children to know how to teach and train them at home in life skills, so when they go to school they can handle the education things that are taught, because so many times that isn't. Okay, so all right, wanted this to be short, didn't want to take too much of your time. And so we're about 20-25 minutes in. Anybody have a question? I don't want to close it without you having an opportunity to ask a question, or have an opportunity to put in any thoughts that you have that you've seen with yourself, with your children, or even with your grandchildren. Okay, anything like that? And hopefully Facebook Live was able to stream also, so I'll go check those notes after and see if there's anything on that side. But hey, thank you so much for taking the time to come to this online town hall. We will have more of them, and feel free, any questions, problems, ideas, thoughts that you have, just email me, David Baker for mayor@gmail.com. When mom says the children are tested so much more than when I was in school, every time I turned around, the whole school was testing. They're concerned about test scores. Students aren't learning what they need to because the schools have to focus on test scores. And so that's what I had read also. And, tests are a big deal. You want to be able to know and have those. We had them once a year. It was Iowa Test of Basic Skills. And one time a year, they did the testing on that. But I think there's so much weight put on the test now, there's a lot more testing in, and you wonder if that's a problem, if they're not learning what they need to learn because they're just practicing on the test. So thank you for all the comments. Thank you for taking the time to type and give your thoughts on this. And I hope that this will stir your thoughts and have a good conversation with your friends, with your family, with neighbors, with other people. And let's see what the problems are and what can we do to fix them. Last with this, when I was teaching in our Christian school that we started, I taught algebra, and I love math, love teaching algebra. To me, it was fun. When people say, oh, algebra, I made it fun and enjoyed teaching it. We had fun in the class. I was amazed from when we started that teaching algebra, how many of the high school kids didn't know their times tables. We literally had to do a times table remedial to be able to help them, because without the times tables, it's hard to be able to do the algebra. But the algebra was, you're always trying to find the X. You're always trying to find X equals what. And through the formulas and the theorems and things you could do, you would find that. I believe that's the same thing with education or with any problem that we have. There is an answer. Okay, there is an answer. And so it's X. X equals what? We want to find that X. We want to find the answer to the problem and plug that in. On those big, long algebra 2 problems that took a whole page just to work the whole thing out, well, how good did it feel when you got done at the end and you figured it out and you had it? That's what we'd like to do with the problems that we face. Let's find X equals and fix those problems. Okay. All right. Hey, thanks again for taking the time. We'll send the replay probably later on tonight. So you'll have that, the email address. Let me know any other thoughts that you have. And again, thank you for taking the time to be here. God bless and take care.